Oh, that's me. I'm on. Next question. Now, for the next question, I'm just flicking on to Matthew James Medium on Facebook. It's a little bit slow because I'm actually uploading a video as I actually speak. I sort of like to do a bit of tomfoolery. I know it is old jokes and it is silly jokes that the wife Chris thinks is rather dumb, but at the end of the day, it's something that I do and it's something that I am. What I always say to people is always to be your authentic self at all times. So no matter what the consequences are, I've got a habit of saying one thing and starting talking, and the next thoughts actually come into my mind because that's the way that I work. My mind's a little bit of a sieve. I do actually do something called mindfulness, which I will explain the technique on one of the videos. In fact, why don't you actually go on to YouTube? I do believe I have a video about mindfulness. I do believe it's called The Observant Mind. It is something that I did about 3 years ago. It does explain mindfulness perfectly. Anyway, here we are. No more distractions from my mind here. Matthew James Medium public figure page on Facebook. I am just panning down, looking for the next question. I have incidentally been in the industry since the 1980s. I did begin in my late teens. Now this is known information. This is stuff that is already on my Facebook. I didn't actually intend to be a medium, even though I had an interest in the psychic. I was really into the UFOs. I was really into the Little Green Men. I was really into the Merlin and the Odin, and I was very much into the stone circles. I still am into these things, but this is my first interest. So when I got introduced to a psychic centre, and I was watching a medium, and little did I know that 15 minutes later I would be in front of the same audience. My mentor Paula at the time had yanked me out of the audience, and there's about 200, maybe 250 people in her club. Yanked me in front of an audience and was thrusting these pieces of jewellery into my hand and just saying, right, all you have to do is just tell the audience what you are getting with this piece of jewellery. Now, I was rather embarrassed because everybody I could actually see in front of me, in front of this audience, was actually female. There wasn't a single male other than Paula's husband, Vinny, who was right at the very back, sort of chuckling away. He obviously found it very amusing, and he was probably actually drinking or pinching the pint of mine that I'd actually left at the table. So here's this big crowd of women, 250 strong, 500 pairs of eyes looking at me. I'd never really been in front of an audience, not in that way anyway. I mean, I've done performing arts. I was in front of an audience of 800 people at Blackpool Opera House as part of a Whittaker dance group, because I'd actually gone to acting school probably about a year prior to that. Or was that later than that? No, that was actually later than that. Sorry, that was actually later than that. That was when I was actually at my first job, because I remember everybody at the front row, and you see, I digress. This is my problem. I start digressing. Everybody in the front row was from work, and everybody was really taking the mickey out of me because there's me in front of this audience. Anyway, going back a few years prior, and I'm in front of this audience, which is actually, in fact, the first audience I ever stood in front of, all the 500 eyes. And I've got this item of jewellery in my hand, whether it was a ring or it was a bracelet, whatever it was, and I'm thinking, scratching my head, okay, what do I do now? What is it that I do now? Okay, and Paul was saying, go on, and the audience has gone quiet, and my face has gone. I'm blushing and I'm sweating, and I'm thinking, why did I ever go to this place? Why did I ever agree to come here? And then something sort of very weird and very odd started happening. I just opened my mouth and I just went with information. It just all came flowing out. Hadn't a clue where it came from, not at that time anyway. And I'm giving all this information. Paula takes the item of jewellery off my hand, and she says, okay, Next one, you're doing really well, you're doing really well. Places this on my hand. She said, now what you do, she says, just hold the jewellery. She says, you're doing really well, but what you need to do is calm down, clear your mind, and just hold the jewellery, and just say whatever you're getting. Again, the 500 eyeballs are looking at me, zoning in on me as I'm giving all this information. I'm feeling really foolish because I haven't a clue what I'm saying. She says, right, final one. She handed me another one. And the young medium, and I believe it was Yvette, who was a girl called Yvette, who was actually the star attraction, was sort of looking at me pensively thinking, okay, what's Paula doing? Why? Who's this guy? What's he doing standing up? He's apparently never done this before, so I must, from her look in her face, I must have been doing it right. I must have been doing it very well. I would find out a few minutes later that I had actually done it very, very, very well indeed. So anyway, I give the last message. It comes out, verbal diarrhea all over the place. Then everybody starts clapping, and I'm thinking, okay, fine, yeah, and I'm really embarrassed. And then Paula says, okay, we've not finished yet, Matthew. First item of jewellery, and she holds it aloft. Whose is this item of jewellery? And this woman's hand goes up, and she says, can you understand what Matthew was saying? And I'm thinking, well, this woman's going to be thinking I was nuts and I made it all up. And she says, absolutely every single word I understood. And I'm thinking, nah, just pacifying me, just literally what they're doing is it's just making me feel good. Anyway, she picks up the next item of jewellery, puts it up in the air and says, whose is this? Woman puts her hand up and says, yeah, absolutely everything's right. Yeah, that was such and such a body, and that was right, and that was right. And by now I'm speechless. I'm thinking, what have I said or what have I done? Where's this coming from? Third one, spot on as well. Everybody starts laughing, and Paul says, right, you can go back at the back now, you can sit down, that's it, thank you. So I'm going to clean off, and everybody's looking at me, clapping at me, and thinking, what? Still not knowing what went on. Vinny hands me my pint back, and it was still sort of the 3/4 of a pint, I seem to remember. So he hadn't actually pinched any of it, and he's laughing and he's thinking, I bet you didn't expect that. I'm sort of going, no. Anyway, at the end of the evening, I then got all the people in the psychic development group all coming around me, congratulating me. Paula just looks at me and says, I knew you could do that. And I said, well, I'm glad you could, because I didn't know what I was doing. So anyway, that was my first ever live demonstration, and that was back, I was probably about 18 at the time. I have found the questions now. Okay, Sonia. I was curious what your favourite food is. I can't actually say to you, Sonia, what my exact favourite food is. I like venison, I like chicken, I like Thai food, I like Indian curry, I like fish, I like salmon, I like cockles. These are all sort of favourite foods, but I suppose, and I like kangaroo, I suppose if I was to specify my actual favourite number one food, it would have to be venison. It would have to be, yeah, I'm going to say it would have to be deer. I do like deer meat. I do like venison. That would be my favourite. Though in saying that, my mind's now going back to my teenage years when I was in what it was called the Drunken Duck pub in the Lake District in England, and it was a basket with chicken on top of it, a nice half piece of chicken with all the chips underneath, and you had all the grease, the vinegar, and all the salt and all the salt. And I seem to remember that at my time was my favourite food, and that does also spring to mind. What is your youngest memory of spirit? That's another question from Sonia. This is something that I do talk about a lot. It is this rather old man, this rather long-haired, grey, Merlin, Gandalf type old man that did used to sit at the foot of my bed when I was probably about 3, 4. That's probably about the earliest that I can actually recollect. But he would sit on the foot of my bed in solid form. I mean, this isn't like dream state. This is actually stuck with me for for my entire life, to tell you the truth, it's actually something that, and just ignore the youngest, by the way. Yeah, he's just babbled on, he's just carried on, made it like he's in the background with all the noise. Doesn't matter. This is just going to be a one hit take. I'm not bothered about all the bits. I'm not going to do any editing. So my apologies for that. But my youngest memory of Spirit, yeah, only 3, 4, 5. Very much solid form, foot in my bed, night after night after night after night. I do remember we had conversations, but it wasn't sort of the way that I'm conversing with you. It wasn't audible. It was going on within here. What I understood many years later to be clairaudience, or even direct thought, telepathy. But yeah, this gentleman would come to the foot of my bed, and we would go on the astral travels. So that was my earliest memory of Spirit. Also at a younger age, maybe let's say teens, how did you cope with bullying from people about your abilities? Well, they didn't actually know. In my teens, they didn't know. Aside from a few little misdemeanors that I used to do at school, where I kind of knew what bullies' secrets were, and I knew certain things about members of my classroom that I didn't suppose to know about. I didn't know then that it was psychic ability. I just assumed that when I'm dodging out of the way, dodging the bullets, when a bully's coming down a corridor, or I'm hearing the noise of somebody on a corridor, that I'm hiding that it's a bully, and it did prove to be the bully. And we had sort of a prefab in our primary school, and it was like an L shape, and I would be going in at one end, sort of tentatively going to the form room, and I would hear the noise of somebody on the return round the corner, and I kind of knew that it was the bully who was looking for me. So I would actually hide in a classroom and just peek through the window, through the door as you do, and I would see the bully going back past. So I mean, they didn't know at school that I had psychic ability, but they must have suspected when I was in the sixth form college in the UK, and nobody would play cards with me because I was always winning, and I was getting accused of having a marked set of cards. But I couldn't help knowing what everybody else's draw was. I couldn't help knowing what was on their cards. I would see it here. I knew what everybody's hands were, so I knew when to ditch, or I knew when to play. I couldn't help that. But no, nobody actually knew I'd got psychic ability. They thought I was weird. They thought I was odd. They thought I was oddball. And why have I got these glasses on, by the way? I don't need. Oh, that's right. I was looking at the questions. Oh, silly me! How forgetful I am. So yeah, I'm going to complete this this video now. This feet in both wheels video. I'm going to let everybody sort of have a bit of a laugh on my part. I'm just going to answer one more actually. Tracy Priestley. Hey Matthew, do you have vivid dreams every night? When I can remember, yeah. I always will have. You're going to want to know what kind of dreams I have, aren't you? That's the pointedness about that question. Yeah, I do have vivid dreams, and I have them most nights. But for me, Tracy, I don't actually believe I have dreams. My firm belief is if you can smell, you can taste, you can touch, you can see colours. See colours. Yeah, you can see colours. That's right, you can see colours. You can hear. You've got every faculty like it is here on the earth plane. That's not a dream. That's an astral projection, or that is a parallel existence. So much of what I do is projections. Much of what I do is very, very similar to earth plane. I can feel things, I can touch things, I can hear things, and I can remember these things. And I actually will wake up in the morning and I will be completely confused and be thinking, where am I? Hang on a minute, and I'll spend the rest of the day and I'll be looking for the car and I'll be thinking, where's the red car gone? Where's the garage gone? Okay, and I'll be completely confused because the altered reality or the projection I'm still remembering that, and I'm thinking I'm dreaming when I'm actually in this. So the possibility is that this is a dream of that projection, or that projection is a it's not a dream, is it? Because it's a projection. But you understand what I'm saying. It gets extremely confusing. The other ones that get even more confusing is when you're aware in that dream state that, and this is one of the best ones, and this will get you thinking. I'm going down a scree, or I'm going down a hillside, and it's quite slippy, and I've sort of fallen over. I'll try and illustrate. I've fallen over, and I've grabbed here, and where I've grabbed, there's been a bush, and I've had cuts. I've had cuts in the dream, and I wake up in the morning, and those same scratches are on my arm. Now, unless I'm getting up in the night and I'm going out in the garden and I'm scratching myself, or I'm scratching myself whilst I'm asleep, or something, it's mighty odd that the exact same scratches that I've dreamed of appear on my arm the next day. Also, I get bruises. I remember getting a bruise or a series of marks in a projection, and those same bruises and marks, or even aches and pains, or even injuries, I have the next day. So explain that one, eh? That is my reality. That's the very, very, very weird world of Matthew James Medium. Now, continue please looking out for and watching these Feet in Both Worlds videos about me, Matthew James, and you just start learning a little bit more about me. Please interact, just like Tracy did, and I'm going to put these rather cranky glasses on again, the wonky glasses on, like Sonia did, like Tracy did, like it's in my memory. I've got the memory of a sieve, like the lady before did. Now there are some more questions here which I'm actually going to feature in the next video. So what I'm going to do at this point, yes, because you see I've got another question from Deborah, from Carol, from Debbie, from Christine. I will, oh, there's one that, all right, I'm going to answer another time. All-time favourite rock band. Christine, my all-time favourite rock band is actually Whitesnake. I got into Whitesnake in the 80s. I remember hearing the song Don't Break My Heart Again. I bought the album Come and Get It, which it's on, and I became a huge fan of Whitesnake. My favourite Whitesnake song is Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City, though Fool For Your Lovin' is another one. There's too many to actually say which is my all-time favourite, but I think Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City is the one that does a lot for me, an old Joe Walsh number. Now, I'd actually heard about David Coverdale when I was into Deep Purple, and he was a member of Deep Purple. And I first heard of Deep Purple when Smoke on the Water was all the rage, when Machine Head had just come out. I mean, that's 1972. So I would have been 7 years old at the time, but I remember Smoke on the Water. I rediscovered Smoke on the Water when I was in the English Lake District, and it was something that I used to play all the time. And it was through that I really got into Whitesnake. So I'm actually calling myself to time. My production. I need to finish this video. I need to I've just realized it's nearly 20 minutes long now, so I will leave it at that point, and I will say thank you, everybody. Thank you for your support, thank you for your input, and there will be another one of these videos when I get back from my trip to Adelaide to Melbourne. So that is going to be in about 2 weeks time, so bye for now.